Right, now that you've got your new iPhone 16, 16 Pro Max, 16 Plus, congratulations, well done you. But now let's talk about stuff that you can actually do to your phone, like customizing it, the battery, and so much more. First up, customization. So, customizing your new iPhone, let's start with the lock screen. So this lock screen here is what I've got set up. So you can see you got some icons there and the torch light's still there, the camera's still there, but you can do so much more now on your lock screen. So if you press and hold like that, and then we can go customize. So you go home screen, lock screen. Let's start with the lock screen. So here we can change everything that's highlighted here. You can change it as you wish to do so. So for example, the torch light there, I usually leave that there because I do like having it there to quickly access it. But with the camera one, I can just take that off completely, or I can click add. And then I've got all these options available in terms of what I can quickly select. So for example, if I want to do chat GPT, for example, I can maybe put chat GPT there so I can quickly ask questions and all that stuff. You can pinch to crop as well in terms of the wallpaper to resize it, either way you want us to resize it. And then you got this bit here where it says natural. You can scroll across to get different look and feel for the wallpaper, so you can see there. But I normally just leave it on natural because that's why I've selected the wallpaper in the first place. See this one here, we can also select that. We can do extend wallpaper, show photo in library. So you can select different photos to go in there. These icons as well, you can change those. So as you can see there, if I tap that, I can remove them. I can replace them with something else if I wish to do so, which is pretty cool. Look at the clock as well. You can do things like change the colors, you can change the fonts, you can change the size. Look at that. Wow, how thick it is if you wish to do so. So let's leave it on that for now and change that. Even where it says Friday, October there, I can change that to different suggestions up to me entirely. So this is pretty cool. Or you can remove this lot completely if you don't want them there. So I think that's pretty cool in terms of what you can do there. If we go back to customize, we go to home screen. Home screen can be customized as well. So you can pair it as a pair. You can change the color there. You can change the gradient. You can change the photo. You can even change how blur you want that to be. So in fact, I'm going to change that back to being able to see my wallpaper still. So click done, tap that to come back out. And then we go to home screen. We're back here. So there's more you can do on the home screen as well. So again, if we tap and hold like so, we can see all the icons are wiggling now. So you can move them around, you can change things. You can even have all these little widgets here, which you can also change as well. So for example, I can resize this widget here. I can move it, tap that little corner. I can drag it to resize it so I can fit more on the screen if I want to. Or I can tap edit right at the top there. I can add new widgets. So if I go to add widgets, you can see all sorts available there for me to add to the screen if I want to do that. Go back to edit. You can customize again here, so you can have things like the light, the shading and stuff. So I've got it tinted at the moment. Otherwise I can go light, I can go dark mode, I can go automatic, which then dynamically changes, or I can have it tinted like you've got that black white sort of effect that I've got there. And then I can go large as well if I want it bigger, or get small. What you can also do is color pick. So with that, I can select a random color on the screen. So maybe we select this purple one in the corner. You can see all my icons change now again. It just gives you option to change what you can see. You can also tap this here to change the brightness. So you can see the brightness change there in terms of going darker or brighter ever so slightly there. So yeah, so you can customize those options if you wish to do so. So yeah, really nice, right? Next, we can control the control center as well. Drag from the right corner, tap the little plus sign there. And then what you can do is add control here. And you can see you have loads of controls options available. There's a lot available. So, and it links to some of the apps that's on the phone already as well. So it depends what you want to add to the screen. You can do that. You can also resize them as well, just like we did on the home screen. So you can see there, you can resize them, you can move them around and so on and so forth. And then what you can also do is as well, you can see there, you can scroll across. So scroll down rather. So you can see on the right side there, we got home stuff, music player, your connection settings and so on. So you can also resize this and add more to all those pages. So we go down, keep going down. You can see there loads of options available. So we can add even more on the screen there. So loads of customization options available there for the home screen. Next, this action button here can also be modified as well. So if we go into settings and then we select action button, then as you can see there, we can scroll across to some of the default stuff. So you can have usual silent mode that we know about. We can go to focus. You can use it for camera to load up camera, flashlight. I've got Shazam and translation there as well. But what we can do is if you go all the way here, we can have controls as well. But we can also select a shortcut. So you can select what you prefer. So for example, I've got mine set to Time Tree, which is my calendar app, but you've got so much options here to load up as soon as you tap the action button. So once you've set that, You can come out of it. Now, if I press and hold this, it loads up my calendar there on Time Tree, and I can start using the app as well. Okay, let's talk about some battery tips. For the battery options is more of a tip more than anything else. So if we go to settings again, and then we go into battery, you can show your battery percentage right at the top there. So if you tap it, you can see that changes. But I always like to see the battery percentage because it helps me know what's going on. And then we go to battery health. And then here we can see the status there. So at the moment it's normal, which is good. You can see the maximum capacity is currently set to 100%. We can change that as well. I'll show you guys in a minute. And then you got your cycle count for when you need to sell it and stuff like that. You might want to ask the seller, what's the cycle count? So, and then we go back out and we go charging. So here you can change how much of charge you want in terms of limit. So just to preserve the battery life, you might want to drop that down to, let's say, 80%. For example, if you don't need to have it at 100%, you can change that as well. So you can move it all the way up if you want to. But what you can also do is when you go to 100%, you get this pop-up which says change charge limit. So you can set the limit now, or you can allow it until tomorrow, which then helps save battery health over time. So actually, I'll do that until tomorrow. So it can also optimize charging as well, which means it will charge a certain level and then later on trickle charge up until you get to 100% rather than giving you full-blown charging speeds from the get-go. So that's probably worth playing about with to make sure you preserve your battery health. Now let's talk about photography, that new camera control and the new photo app. For the camera control, we have this new button on the side, which is really nice. It's a nice little addition to the new iPhone 16 range. With that, this is how to use it. So you can press it once and it loads up the camera app, as you can see there. And then the next thing we can do is, if you tap once, it goes to what I've set it to initially. So for example, I've got all the styles here, which I'll also talk about in a second. So you can change it to different, almost like filters, but they're just different styles that you can then further mess with, which I'll show you guys in a second. If you press and hold it, that will then take photo, just for a bit longer, it takes the photo. If you double tap it, it allows you to change what that actually gives you. So if we go all the way to the top, we've got exposure, we've got depth, we got zoom, we got camera, we got styles, we got tone. So for example, if I select exposure and leave it as that, it now allows me to change exposure by doing this. One little tip here though is once you've opened that up, you can also scroll on the screen like so. So I particularly find that useful when I'm shooting portrait mode in terms of the orientation of the screen. So I don't have to constantly use the camera control button. But when I've got in landscape, then I use the camera control button to adjust that settings there. One thing you might notice as well is the pressure when I'm tapping or using the camera control button there. That's because I've changed that in my settings. And here's how you do that as well. So if we go back into settings, and then we go into accessibility, then we can scroll down to the camera control button here, and then we can change the amount of pressure that you get on it. So at the moment, I've got light press. You got the swipe as well option. So the light press force, which is the right term for it here, would be, you can have it lighter, you can have it default, or you can have it even firmer than it actually is. But I've got it lighter, which means it just makes it easier. So you can get your double press, double light speed press as well. You can change that, but I haven't messed with that at all. But play around with this and see what suits your preference, because doing that will make that experience so much better for you. Now let's go back to the styles and settings and what you can do here, which is pretty cool. I like what they've done here. So one thing to bear in mind first is up here, you can see RAW Max, which you can shoot RAW mode in this. What they've done is you can tap that to turn it on and off. But what you can also do is press and hold it, and it gives you option to change different output. So RAW Max, HEIF Max, RAW 12, and RAW Max is already selected. So we always show you what's already selected. But the reason why I'm showing you this is if you turn that off, this then allows you or opens up this option to change the style here as well. So when you have your styles, so if I go to styles here, so now we have my styles option, and if I tap it again, so if I go to gold, for example, I can adjust that further using this pad here. So I can go left, right, up, down to change how bright it is. I can go left to right to change intensity. But there's also this bar here, so you can choose how much you want that effect to apply to your photo as well. So which is pretty cool. I think they've done a really good job there. So once you've taken that photo, what you can then also do is go back into the actual photo that you've just taken and then click settings at the bottom there. You can then still go after the fact, change all the settings. So you can have it neutral so it doesn't really affect, it's not fully baked in until you've clicked done, then it's there. But you can also always go back to always change it whenever you want to do that. So I can tap gold and I can still change this as well. What's also cool here is you can then go further by copying that same edit into another photo. For example, I can tap this in the corner here, tap copy edit. You can do the style, you can do the crop if you want, and then now I can click done on that particular photo. I can then go to another photo like this one, go to settings, tap the little 3 dots and paste the edit. And that just saves so much time in terms of all the edits that you've done to one photo if you don't want to keep doing it over and over and over again. One more thing in camera control settings is if you go to settings and then go to camera, and then you can go to camera control here. You can allow it to open camera. You can allow it to open other camera applications on your phone as well. But actually, if you don't want to use this at all, you can select it to none and nothing will actually happen when you press it. So it's entirely up to you. Go back into camera settings. If you want to shoot 48 megapixel, go into formats and make sure you toggle Pro, RAW and resolution control. Make sure you toggle that on, otherwise you won't have that option to select RAW Max, which then allows you to shoot 48 megapixel there by selecting that as well. So you do have options for other settings here as well. And also I always go JPEG XL lossy or lossless, but it depends which one. I always go between these two depending on what I want to shoot, but that will affect the file size. So bear that in mind in terms of your phone storage size. Next, in Photo app, you might notice that things have changed quite a bit. So you can see that they've got things all over the place. So you might not notice when things are in more, so like people, pin collections are there. So like your favorites now moved there, for example. It's got things like memories that automatically gets generated, like trips and so on and so forth. So much stuff has moved all over the place. But what you can actually do is customize all this and reorder it. So if you look at the bottom here, we can do customize and reorder. So things that you don't want there anymore. So for example, recent dates, you can tap it off. People, you can tap it off. All this stuff, you can tap it on and off, or you can actually drag as well and move where they appear when you go back to your Photo app, or you can reset it completely. So as a result of that, it means you can then go back to, for example, back to my 16 Pro Max, which is what I use every day. You can now see how simple this is. I've now got thumbnails of all my pictures. I've got my pin collections there, so I can quickly go to favorites, and then the other stuff that's like utilities, so like things like receipts and stuff like that. I can see them right at the bottom there. So just keep things nice and simple again. So don't fret if you see that the first time. You can customize it and rearrange it just the way that you prefer. And one more thing. You can also lock and hide your apps as well. So for example, if you work for the government maybe, and you got some government apps that you don't want people to see, you might be able to lock that and hide it as well. So what you can do is, for example, I've got WhatsApp there. For me to be able to use it, I can just press and hold it. And where it says require Face ID, I can press that. And then you get option to either just require Face ID to open the app, or you can hide it and require Face ID on top of that as well to be able to do it. When you hide it, it means it won't come up in search at all as well. So for example, if I scroll down here and I do WhatsApp, you can see the app shows up there. But once I do require Face ID, hide it, like so, hide the app, you can see it's gone. So if I swipe down now, WhatsApp is not going to appear in my search at all. So it just keeps things nice and private. To find it, you just have to scroll across, go to all your app library, and then if you scroll down, there's your hidden ones there. So if you tap hidden, it shows WhatsApp there. You can then tap WhatsApp. You then require Face ID to get into your WhatsApp. So that's pretty much what that is, which is pretty cool. Another thing you can do now as well is with your torch. So if I tap torch there, you can see there you get more options now as well. So for example, you can go wide like so, and you can go even further towards where you want it to go, so you don't blind people all the way across the room. You can go all the way across, you can go wider, slimmer, which is pretty cool. Just a nice little addition to iOS 18. So there you have it. What do you guys think? Any more tips and tricks that I've missed? Let me know in the comments below and share with everyone else. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. See you in the next one.